Hello everybody, hope you're all doing fantastically well on this sunny Tuesday the 13th of June. It's Connor here, we are back with another video. Another video will be released today at midday on the Patreon. Make sure you're checking out the stuff on there, the link will be in the description below. But here, we are doing your daily Rumour Mill update, your daily Leeds video. As I say, I hope you're all doing really well. 230 of you in the building, magnificent support once again. You know, we're not on Twitter anymore, but we'll be reactivating the One Leeds FC account at some point, don't worry. So we're not getting the name out there on Twitter. But guys, the YouTube support has been unbelievable. The Facebook support has been unbelievable. The Instagram support has been unbelievable. So thank you so much. I only scheduled this 5 minutes ago. It was an impromptu one. I wanted to get you a Rumour Mill out before I started work at 10 o'clock. So here you go. Committed from your end, committed from my end. As you can see, I've got a massive fan here. Because it is just absolutely sweltering hot with this bright light here. So, yeah, apologies if it is a bit obstructive there. Morning, Connor. How you, Dale? Finally live from Canberra. Hi, Luke. Now then, Connor. How you, Pete? Morning. Morning, everybody. Morning, everyone in the chat. Morning, Connor. I'm doing fantastically when the sun's shining on the right side of the pen. How are you over in Manchester? Oh, it's all right, Wayne. It's good, mate. It's good to see for one city the sun is shining here. For one city, it's a rare occasion. So thank you so much. Good morning, hey, Rog. Any manager update, Connor? We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the thick of it. Hello, Football AMC. Hope you're okay. Morning from Melbourne. I love how you guys always tell me where you're from. And I think it's because I encourage it, isn't it? I encourage the geographical location for where you guys are. And I think that's an important thing, of course. Leeds fans everywhere, of course. But let's get into it now, everybody. So apparently, look, this is essentially what we all know anyway, but I think it's good to, you know, discuss it a little bit and talk on what's going on. Apparently, it's pretty much confirmed that Leeds United will have a new managerial appointment, definitely by this time next week, but in the coming in the coming week, really by the end of proceedings this week, according to several reports close to Ellen Road. We're set for Rodgers, Farke, and Corberan talks. It looks like Scott Parker is going to Leicester City. I'd be very interested to hear what you guys think on that. As we were saying yesterday on the Rumour Mill, Parker is one of these that, would it have suited him coming to Leeds with the promotions that he's got on his CV? I think Leeds would have been a very difficult task. Dependent on how many players Leicester can keep hold of, this could be the ideal job for him, you know. But it also depends. Obviously, they lost Tielemans, they've lost quite a few of their very decent players. But you know, if they can get Maddison as well, another one. But if they can keep hold of, you know, Dewsbury Hall, if they can keep hold of Vardy, players like that, Faze, you know, they might be okay. They might be okay in terms of player quality. And I feel someone like Scott Parker needs that player quality to be able to really thrive. I think almost a building project at Leeds, which I think it is going to be when you look at the amount of players that are going to churn. I think that's a really good appointment and a really good fit for Scott Parker. I don't think it would have been a good fit for him at Leeds, because I think, as I've just mentioned several times, I think at Leeds it's going to be more of a building process, more of a project. So yeah, for me, I think the Scott Parker to Leicester, I think that'll work. I do think that appointment will work for Leicester. Whether or not that means they're going to finish in the top 2, the top 6, who knows? But I think that sort of manager is something that Leicester will profit from. So good no Scott Parker. Scorcho in Scarbados, mate. That's good to hear, Pete. Morning, Connor. Got a live feed at last beautiful day here in Plymouth. Goodness me. Connor, Rodgers has a point to prove to Leicester for sacking him. Now, yeah, they were wrong to sack him, essentially. Yeah, and when you're moving on and allegedly with Corberan, Farke, and I'll be honest, guys, I think it's going to be Farke. I don't know anything, but it's just a hunch I've got. I think it's pretty obvious it's going to be him in my head. I think Rodgers will still turn us down, even if Leeds are in talks with him, which allegedly we are. I think just on the basis that I think, you know, if there is a managerial sacking 3 to 4 months into the Premier League campaign, which there always is, Rodgers and Potter are going to be the names put forward straight away. And then you get a Premier League job, then you get better players, then you get a better wage, you get more to work with overall. You know, your profile is out there. And I think Rodgers built his name in the Championship anyway with Swansea, and I thought he did exceptionally well there. I don't know if he'd want to essentially regress and come to the Championship, even if it is with Leeds United. But I do feel money talks. And I've said multiple times on this channel that I would like a manager who is in for the long haul, is in for a project. is in for Leeds United 100%. I know a lot of you guys have said that's not the real world, Connor. I understand that. I'm not naive to that. But I think, you got a little slight encouragement. I mentioned this yesterday when, for example, Leeds United went to approach Carlos Corberán after the sacking of Jesse Marsh, and Corberán turned around at West Brom and said no. So I do think it happens at points. I'm not just saying Leeds should go for Carlos Corberán here, but I think it's I think going for a manager with a point to prove is a really good way forward. Corberán's got a point to prove. He's never, got promoted to the Premier League. He's got close, very, very close. You look at Farke, Borussia Mönchengladbach, it did not work for him whatsoever. They wanted him out a while ago. Norwich didn't work for him in the Premier League either. He has a bit of a point to prove as well. I quite like that. Brendan Rodgers, would he be spiteful enough to come to Leeds and really want to do this? Not only in favour of Leeds United, but to also, stab the dagger in the heart of Leicester as well. If we're to go on a promotion chasing campaign, us against them, who knows? But I think the real life thing to look at here as well is Celtic. Celtic are looking for a manager now. It looks like all of the managerial appointments that Leeds, Leicester have been looking at are in the same ballpark as what Celtic are looking at too. Celtic can offer Champions League football. Celtic can offer the proposition of a treble as well. So yeah, that's a lot more attractive than what Leeds can offer at the minute. So yeah, that is the significance of being in the Championship, in comparison to the Premier League, because Celtic over Leeds, in my opinion, the Premier League is no competition. Andre says, "Hi Connor, hi from New Zealand. Jealous of Postecoglou. Talking about getting ready for the season, we are so far behind. We are at the minute." John Cullen says, "Morning Connor, Dublin White. Yeah, I would like Farke prove himself in the Championship." Morning Connor, says Lee. Watching the train going out to London. Hi Lee, hope you're all good. Thank God it's not Parker. Please not Jet. Oh God. Lee, we can't even talk about that. We can't even talk about where you're going in London. Let us know. Is it Camden Town, Tooting? Where are you off? Morning Connor, Jim from Blackpool. Hi Jim, but it's nice there. Philip says, morning Connor, Belle Isle Leeds LS11. I think so, Paul. Yeah, and as we've said, Will, I think they're going to be the appointments that I'm going to throw my. It's not. The reports are out there, aren't they? It's not like some sort of like unbelievable announcement from myself, but I think it's going to be Farke. I think it will be Farke. I think we might get over the line again. I've got a sneaky feeling Rodgers does go back to Celtic, or just leaves them in the dark. But I've got a feeling that's maybe how the dominoes will fall. And yeah, he had a great time up in Celtic, was loved there as well. So anyway, let's get on to a bit of the player news. Pierre Koundé, this is everywhere, absolutely everywhere at the minute, which is interesting. It could be agent talk, but it might not be as well. Obviously, Leeds United are looking to rebuild in the Championship. Angus Kinnear and the recruitment team, not headed by Victor Orta at this moment in time, will be talking to, obviously managers, potential players who would fit. I believe now with the three candidates Leeds United have in Rodgers, Corberán and Farke, there's an attacking philosophy there. There's a possession-based football there. And I think, contrary to what I said yesterday about the managerial appointment having to come in and then pick their players, I think if Leeds United were able to maybe get the wheels in motion, and they've taken the time, bearing in mind with the takeover here, the takeover's taken time, so Leeds really need to get back up to speed with, with what's going on, getting their cards in order. I think if Leeds were able to facilitate a really good signing for a possession, attacking-based manager, which all three are, I think that will be very, very much appreciated by the managers, all three that will be coming in. Leeds are showing strong interest to sign Olympiacos midfielder Pierre Koundé this summer, according to multiple reports. The Greek outlet has reported on its website. I will say as well, it's been reported by English outlets as well, that the Whites are looking for new signings to help them get back to the Premier League for the first time. The Cameroon enforcer spent last season on loan at the German side Bochum, who were not left convinced enough to turn that into a permanent switch. Leeds may have a rebuild on their hands, as we know, with potential Mark Rocker leaving and Tyler Adams. So, yeah, interesting how you always wonder if it is just paper talk, if it's agents just almost filling these newspapers with, my player needs a move. It's not really going that well for him. Obviously, with Pierre Koundé there, it's clearly not going well for him. Bochum didn't decide to take a full transfer on him, and Listen, that doesn't mean that he's going to be a bad player. We all know that certain players thrive in certain environments and at certain clubs. But it's interesting. Apparently, several sources have said last night that he's ready to jet into Leeds, or he will be jetting into Leeds very, very soon. Don't know how real that is, but yeah, Leeds. And the general concept of Leeds bolstering that midfield is something definitely to highlight, because that midfield's going to need bolstering. You know, Leeds United, in my opinion, will lose Tyler Adams. I think obviously we're going to lose Mark Rocker. McKennie has gone already, which leaves you with Adam Forshaw, who's also out of contract. I don't know. Leeds have literally got an entire rebuild of such an important position in central midfield. Football AMC says his agent has come out and said it's just rumours, it's not true. Yeah, I expected that, mate. I expected that. But yeah, who knows how this will develop? Who knows? Leeds United have opened talks with Norwich City sporting director Stuart Webber. Claims Football Insider. Leeds United are in the market for a new sporting director, I should say. This is an interesting one. Now, if you to go out and get Webber and Stuart Webber, and if you to go out and get Daniel Farke, that is the pair that got Norwich promoted. Now, what I always knew with Stuart Webber is that he was always good at working with a budget. And I think that's smart by Leeds. Is it indicative of the money that we're going to be spending? Potentially. Obviously, he was never given big money at Norwich City. And when he was given big money, he was criticised quite heavily. The obvious one right there would have been, obviously, Norwich's record signing in Josh Sargent. I don't know with this one. It would be a Norwich pairing and a successful pairing in the Championship, I guess. But the Premier League, it didn't work out. You know, the money management wasn't there. The managerial prowess from Farke wasn't there either. However, you know, were they drip-fed the correct amount of money? Will the 49ers invest more money? I guess there's several questions there that remain unanswered, and we will not know until we get into the Premier League season. But with Daniel Farke, the domino effect of Stuart Webber then coming in would make complete sense. They know each other very, very well. They've worked together for 3-4 years. Obviously, Webber would have sacked Daniel Farke as well, which would be an interesting re-emergence, I should say. But I don't know. I think my big problem with Stuart Webber was the amount he spoke, the amount he talked, the amount he did interviews. There was a point at Norwich City where he said, I'm going off to climb Everest. And the Norwich fans were up in arms about that. I'm going to climb Everest with my family. My time isn't just spent in football. And that was in the summer months. I believe that was in the Premier League campaign as well. Or it might have been the Championship campaign. That caused an absolute stir online. He had a little bit of a presence online. I'm not sure this is one I'd be happy with. I know he's a Leeds fan, and I'd obviously support him if he came in. I just don't know if the Webber-Farke dynamic is obviously there, but is it something fruitful that's going to be long-term? If you hire a sporting director now, it's not, as we saw with Victor Orta, a sporting director isn't someone who comes in, then you sack them when you go to the Premier League. The sporting director is going to be in charge of operation with Angus Kinnear, and the 49ers obviously stateside, enterprises as well. There's different factions of this group of investors are going to be given a lot of control to Stuart Webber and Angus Kinnear. So, yeah, a sporting director they said wasn't essential, but it's interesting that they're getting the wheels in motion there. And I think that would make logistical sense. Would I be over the moon with Stuart Webber? Probably not. I think there's sporting directors out there who are in the background and who are just do their jobs and do them very, 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 very well, as we've seen in the Premier League with teams that have come up. I just wouldn't want Webber to be coming out and speaking a little bit too much. We've had this before, and I think the 49ers need to understand that. You have to understand the man as well as understanding his pedigree, you know? So, yeah, as sort of the Chronicles have said here, I don't fit the 49ers mentality to have a big mouth. They like actions over noise, and I think shout out to you, TJ, as well. Shout out to you, happy birthday, mate. So yeah, it would make sense, wouldn't it? The whole for the dominoes to fall, Webber then Farke. So yeah, I don't know. Depends on the project. If we're planning on getting to the Premier League, Farke and Webber are probably a decent appointment, but you don't sack your sporting director. You just don't. Clubs don't do it. I'll get to Premier League, then we'll sack him and get another one in. It doesn't work like that because they have so much input on everything at Leeds. Everything at Leeds. They are the head honcho when, as we saw with Victor Orta, when the owners are out of town. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Guys, I don't know if you've been made aware of this, but rumours are getting a bit thicker with this now. Nottingham Forest are heavily linked to Tyler Adams. There's Liverpool. Apparently there's Aston Villa monitoring the situation, but apparently Nottingham Forest are looking to move quickly and efficiently. Yeah, bloody hell. It's a sad indictment on where Leeds are now. With Nottingham Forest, we got promoted. They'd bottled it a season beforehand as well. Or that season, I think it was. Leeds went up, and we were in that space where we were Premier League, where we were playing Premier League football. Fantastic finish, 9th record ever, points tally for a promoted side, and then Nottingham Forest have come up. Had a really good first season. I think they will stay up next season as well. I think they're just going to invest well and probably take Leeds as a bit of a blueprint and say, look, that's not how you do it. You back Steve Cooper. You don't just bring in 2 players who are never going to play for an extortionate amount of money for Bowen James. And for them to be useless signings at post, you're doing okay in the first season. I think they'll back Steve Cooper and they'll learn from the Leeds United mistakes. And yeah, Adams would be a good signing for them. I could see him being a bit of a rotation option at Liverpool, to be honest with you, but him fitting in at Villa or Forest, it'd be upsetting if it was Forest, not because it's Nottingham Forest and I dislike Nottingham Forest. Forest mean absolutely nothing to me. We mean more to Forest than they mean to us, as is with 98% of England. We bother them more than they bother us. But he would fit in there. I think he's a good defensive midfield option. But it would be interesting to see if he would look a little bit higher than Nottingham Forest. I do think his ceiling is a little bit higher when playing Premier League football. Liverpool looking to regenerate a little bit in that defensive midfield option. Villa, obviously at Europe, that would be a great move for Tyler Adams. Could he work as a ball-winning midfielder? They've got Boubacar Kamara in there, who I think is probably a better player than Tyler Adams, but I think Adams would fit into that Villa side when it comes to depth. But as we've seen with Illan Meslier, it's all about minutes, isn't it? It's all about playing time. And last one, guys, Forshaw has been released. He's been invited to come back to train with Leeds United to essentially prove himself. Robles has the same thing. I don't know why they've not given Robles a new contract, to be honest with you. I'd have kept him. I don't understand after the last 4 games where he was playing. I thought he did well. His experience was there. His leadership was there. He was talking in the huddles before the games when he'd only played bloody 3 games at the time. Went into the 4th, was doing the huddle. I'm absolutely baffled as to why Leeds have let him go. He's only 32 years of age, and apparently Wolves and Everton are interested. So why would you let him go? Hopefully Robles comes back into it and is able to impress. But if Everton, listen, if Everton came calling anyway, he'd go there. He's previously been at Everton as well when he was sort of 24, 25 before moving to Betis. I don't know. I don't know why Leeds wouldn't offer him a contract, a year's extension or a couple of years. He's 32. He's nothing. He's probably indoctrinated into the Leeds way now, whatever the hell the Leeds way is in these past 18 months. But I think he was a really good acquisition last summer. I was happy with that experience. Played at the top level. And if Everton aren't to get involved, then why wouldn't you at least offer him a contract? Why does he need to come back and prove himself? He's been good enough. We've seen that in the 4 games. I get Forshaw, of course, he needs to come back and prove himself. He's constantly injury prone. I like Adam as a player, but he's not dependable or reliable. So, yeah, the Robles one's confusing to me. I don't get why they've done that. Unless they are literally actively going for 2 new goalkeepers, which I wouldn't mind either, to be honest. Yeah, potentially, Matty. That's probably what it is, mate. And if they are looking at 2 new goalkeepers, then fine. Connor Phil said that the 49ers want Rodgers, but Farke has impressed Leeds. This is what I'm saying, Richard. I honestly believe if they're looking at Webber, then Farke comes in as well. I think if that's their aim, they'll see the link, and I think that's what they're going to go for. I think that's a little bit... If they're looking at... Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure on that one. Rodgers, I'd obviously love. I think Rodgers would be a top statement and signing. He'd want, top players at Championship level and assurances. So that's what I like. Rodak at Fulham, yeah, 100%. Rodak at Fulham, Johnston at Palace, good options there. But yeah, guys, I think it's going to be Farker, and I think it's going to be Webber as sporting director. I think we're going to get that link a little bit, which is I don't know. Listen, proven. Obviously, they've got out the Championship, and maybe that's what I need to look at, not long term. But as a Leeds fan, you can't help looking long term, and maybe that's a little bit arrogant, or maybe that's just because we've just come out of the Premier League. Who knows? And we're expecting to bounce straight back, but could be naive, could be a little bit negligent from me doing the old Radrizzani and Orta. But yeah, guys, gonna leave it there. Thank you so much. I said I was going to go on till 10, and it is about 10 o'clock now. There is going to be a managerial video that's released on the Patreon today. It's who I would go for. It's probably someone who's not in the firing line. It might just interest you guys as a general video. So yeah, hit the link in the description below if you want a bit of bonus content. We've got loads of members over there now. A quick shout out to all the people who joined yesterday and the day before. Guys, make sure you like the video before leaving. Really appreciate it, and I will see you in a bit. Cheers.